Why do everybody get taken out whenever they speak on it?
Oh man, everyone should read the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. Everyone should know about the meeting that took place off the coast of Jekyll Island in the early 1900s. Everyone should know about the Federal Reserve Act. Everyone should know about Woodrow Wilson. Everyone should know about J.P. Morgan. Everyone should know about the Carnegies, the Rothschilds, the Warburgs. Everyone should know about the Waltons. Everyone should know about the Vanderbilts. Everyone should know about these are the names of, of course, the Rockefellers. Again, very critical about the Rockefellers, John D. Rockefeller and all the rest of them, Carnegie and the rest of them. You must know about these. Why? Because they shaped the modern world that we currently live in. From the financial area to the educational system to the agricultural system to the very banking itself. They shaped it. So while a lot of us are arguing, we're not realizing the people who quite literally put this thing together are the ones who have perpetuated exactly where we are to this very moment. Then we can say, oh, these people want to get rid of over 4 billion human beings on the planet, including white folks.
The Rothschilds. Many of you, I'm sure, have seen the 3 little globes that hang around the pawn shop as the emblem of a pawn shop. That comes from 3 acorns off the Rothschild family crest. They were moneylenders to begin with in Austria, and they became, which they are now, the richest family in the world. They are not considered humans by the occult world. They're considered gods. They believe that gods, sons and daughters of Lucifer, dwell in these human bodies. And when the humans die, the Rothschilds die, they go into the next Rothschild born. And they're not to be treated as men, they're to be treated as gods. And believe me, they are treated as gods. Their word is absolute law. That's the Rothschilds. They founded the Illuminati, and many people can't understand why a family of Rothschilds would create a conspiracy for a takeover that they never hope to see fulfilled. Well, that's because witches believe in reincarnation. They believe that they would be alive during that time.
The Rothschild dynasty is not a family. It is the blueprint of modern hidden power. Since the 18th century, when Mayer Amschel Rothschild built a banking network connecting London, Paris, Vienna, Frankfurt, and Naples, the financial elite learned how to control nations without ever needing armies. 3 key facts exposed their influence. They financed both sides of the Napoleonic Wars, they manipulated the bond market after Waterloo, and they embedded themselves within central banks that still steer the global economy today. Their power isn't in visible wealth, but in the interest rates, debts, and decisions made behind doors where governments never enter. The Rothschild dynasty created the model. Families that don't rule countries, they rule the rulers. Official history calls them bankers. The hidden record reveals them as the architects of the modern control system.
In modern Jewish history, and it begins with 3 words. Dear Lord Rothschild.
Dear Lord Rothschild, I have much pleasure in conveying to you, on behalf of His Majesty's government, the following declaration of sympathy with Jewish Zionist aspirations, which has been submitted to and approved by the Cabinet.
Why was it that this letter was sent by the Foreign Secretary to your great-uncle Walter?
It's an interesting question because it was primarily a movement from Eastern Europe, but they didn't clarify who was in charge of that movement. And in addition, it was after all in Great Britain. So they felt that the Rothschild family should be the one to whom it was addressed. And Walter was Lord Rothschild, and he was a Zionist. And those really are the background reasons.
So Walter received the Balfour Declaration, and I have a copy here. And I wonder if I could possibly ask you to read it for us.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. I'm going to put on my spectacles to make sure I read it accurately. His Majesty's government view with favour the establishment of Palestine as a national home for the Jewish people, and will use their best endeavours to facilitate the achievement of this object it being clearly understood that nothing should be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine, or the rights and political status enjoyed by Jews in any other country. I should be grateful if you would bring this declaration to the knowledge of the Zionist Federation. Yours, Arthur Balfour.
And here it is, the Balfour Declaration. What do you feel when you see it here?
I genuinely feel it's one of the most extraordinary moments in the history of the Jewish people. If you think it took 3,000 years to get to this. And then you say, how did this miracle happen? It's the most incredible piece of opportunism. I mean, if you think you had an impoverished would-be scientist, Chaim Weizmann, who somehow gets to England, meets a few people, including members of my family, seduces them. He has such great charm and conviction. He gets to Balfour, and he unbelievably persuades Balfour and Lloyd George, the Prime Minister, and most of the ministers, that this idea of the national home for Jews should be allowed to take place. I mean, it's so unlikely. And then he's, starts to fight a difficult battle with the British cabinet, and this letter goes through 5 drafts, as you know. And in the end, it comes out as a rather compromising letter. I mean, the essential point is there for the Jewish community to fasten on to. You have the first bit, which promises a national home rather than the national home. And then you have the bit that nothing that's to be done should in any way harm the Arab community. But you come back to the big point, which is that this is perhaps the greatest event in Jewish life for thousands of years.
The deep state begins with the Rothschilds and the Vatican. They have had financial power since time immemorial. The Rothschilds were instrumental in setting up central banks. These central banks are the means by which private interests control public interests. They manipulate interest rates. The other billionaires make their money by manipulating interest rates, by manipulating foreign exchange rates, by starting wars to drive up the price of oil so that Goldman Sachs can make its futures bet. Okay? So the deep state is about bankers, including religions, the Vatican particularly, but also the Jewish religion as manipulated by the Zionists in Israel. Saudi Arabia and Wahhabism is part of the deep state. And then you have the complicit media, complicit academics, and then you have the secret intelligence services that are using their powers to spy on politicians and blackmail the politicians on behalf of the deep state.
Welcome, absent associates. You've completed initial orientation. This is a classified update. Post-partisan clarity protocol. You were taught to choose a side, left or right, red or blue. Pick one, defend it. But sides are for spectators. Spectacle is for the asleep. We are not here to take sides. We are here to dissolve them. The left tells you who to blame. The right tells you who to fear. But they both serve the same master, distraction. What if the real conflict was vertical, not horizontal? Not left versus right, but top versus bottom. If you're still choosing teams, you haven't left the arena. Step out. Look up. There is no aisle in the associate order. Only clarity. Continue without allegiance.
We have a two-party tyranny, the Republican and Democratic parties. They're two wings of the same bird. They produce the same poop, okay? One bird, two wings, same poop, all right? Totally corrupt. And then the Anthony Weiner laptop, which produced emails that demonstrated that Hillary Clinton was deeply engaged in pedophilia, in transnational crime, in pay-to-play quid pro quos, and charity fraud, and of course charity fraud. The root is Washington, D.C. and New York City and the City of London. That's root. That's the root of all evil. Every industry across the United States of America is 50% waste, and it's totally corrupt. The Food and Drug Administration and the Center for Disease Control are both criminal organizations that are bought and paid for by the industries they're supposed to supervise. Okay? John F. Kennedy was the last honest president in the United States of America, or the last effective president. Ever since Kennedy, all subsequent presidents have been essentially owned as puppets for the deep state. That certainly includes the Bushes and Obama and the Clintons, okay? They were criminal co-conspirators with the deep state, which is the Rothschilds, the banks, the two-party tyranny, and then the corporations and the industrial complex and so forth.
Our banks were given to us by the Knights Templars, the Masonic Lodge of Knights Templars in Europe. Our educational institutions, universities and colleges were given to us by the Masonic Order coming out of Rome. This is why the square martyr board is a Catholic symbol. And Jews, how many Jews know that when you wear a yarmulke, that's not Jewish, it's Roman? That's why the Pope wears a yarmulke. That's why the cardinals wear the yarmulke. It's a Roman symbol, it's not Jewish. The Jews were told to wear the yarmulke to show subjection to Rome. And they got so used to using it, they think it's a Jewish symbol. It's not Jewish, it's Roman. So many people willingly bend themselves to what their masters want from them. What your masters want is for you to be in compliance, for you to think what they have told you to think.
It's a group of men that you don't even know who they are. Most people don't even know who they are. And this is a group of men that got together many years ago with one agenda that is called a new world order. Every government in the world has a secret government behind it that run the show. If you think that the president, the prime minister, you think they're doing it, they're puppets. They control armies, nations, governments, all the money in the world. All the richest families in the world, Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and anyone that somehow made money within a very short span of time has to be part of it. And you think that Mike Zuckerberg owns Facebook? He's a puppet. Facebook was created for their manipulation. Same thing with YouTube, same thing with WhatsApp and Instagram and Netflix and everything. World War I was designed by them. World War II, designed by them. Federal Reserve, which people think belongs to the American government. Doesn't belong to the government even. It's a private organization. NASA, CIA, the assassination of JFK, who was the first one who ever talked about it, got a bullet in his head. Needless to say, the attack on the Twin Towers, it wasn't Bin Laden. All one big agenda because they needed to go to Afghanistan. You know why? To put pipes. It's all one big show. We're being fooled and millions of Americans are cheering. We're going to a war against terror. Yeah, you've been fooled. And you think it's different in Israel? You know that Israel was built by the Freemasons, by the way, by the Zionists. There's nothing here kosher. Who approved the Declaration of Israel? The United Nations, of course. An organization of peace and unity and we love all. It's a terror organization built by the New World Order. All the founders of the country of Israel are Freemasons.